But obviously also just looking at the national dialogue, Natasha, Phiri is at the national convention. That continues in Pretoria. Some criticism been raised over its structure, its pace, and obviously just looking at how, citizens need to be at the center of this. It needs to be a bottom-up approach. And so I'm going to hand over to Natasha Phiri once again to bring us the latest as that continues. Natasha, it's over to you. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Liesel, once again. Of course, we continue to bring you different vantage points, around the National Convention, the various conversations. Patricia Vasachi was in Mamelodi, and we are speaking to various people that have gathered here at the two-day National Convention. Of course, let me just bring in Vanessa Samuel Chetty. She's the director at the Hope Foundation, which focuses and helps victims of gender-based violence. But also quite interestingly so, it doesn't also help the victims, but the perpetrators as well. And this is where I want to bring in Vanessa Samuel Chetty. Thank you so much for joining us on SABC News. Vanessa, I think it's very important that you also your foundation also focuses on the perpetrators of gender-based violence. And this is where sometimes some sectors of society had said that it's very important to focus on the boy child, because once a boy child experiences abuse, they grow up, and act it out. Are these some of the inputs that you actually made yesterday and you will continue to make today?
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, absolutely. First of all, you realize that we somehow have failed the boy child as a community, as a society. We fail them in many ways. Just to put your arm around a boy child and show them love in an affectionate way is something that is rare for a lot of people. So their love language becomes violence, and as a result, they perpetuate violence. But I'm not saying that this is a blanket rule. This is a certain percentage. As a GBV survivor myself, I realized that even my perpetrator was a broken boy, and I had to understand, doesn't justify what he has done, but it gives me some sort of explanation that I was not just a targeted victim, but just he knew nothing else. So I'm here to champion the cause of children. Children are very, very special to my heart. I'm also here to say that religious organizations have a space in society, and we are very effective in flagging this issue and also changing the narrative. Because child protection and gender-based violence is not a conversation that a lot of people want to have. But we, even as religious organizations, have that voice.
Vanessa, just lastly, before we go to the good reverend here next to me, people have said that, and some of the issues that came out of here is that they don't trust the institutions, institutions that are put in place to actually, hold people accountable. And the national dialogue comes at this very time. If people of South Africa don't have faith in such institutions, some are saying that the justice system has actually failed women. How does this convention actually then, somewhat bring about accountability? And how will it answer or bring solutions to the very challenges that you guys raise here?
Well, this is historic because this is going to be the first citizen-led organization, or let's call it a dialogue. Taking it to the people is what is needed right now. Bridging that gap between government, all of these agencies that you mentioned, and the community. People need to listen to what's happening in the trenches. And I think this dialogue the modality of it is fantastic because it's going to bring that dialogue right to the grassroots level. And that means the people will be heard. The ones that didn't have a voice before are definitely going to have a voice. So I'm very hopeful for that, and I'm really looking forward. It's the first of its kind. So let's be hopeful and let's be optimistic that this is going to be a very, 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 very productive engagement.
Vanessa, thank you so much for your time. All the best with your work. Reverend Zoe, you heard what Vanessa had to say from the Hope Foundation. She's very optimistic that this national convention will actually yield about good results. What is your sense? What are you honestly, in terms of your reflections, getting out of this national convention and the conversations that I had here?
So am I. I'm also very optimistic. South Africans are talking, but their voices are everywhere. This is a framework for uniting voices towards a common objective of shaping our nation. When voices are everywhere, they feel like noise, and noise is not talking. Now South Africans need to talk to one another and actually come up with a social compact. And I always say, from which future legislators will drink, from which future policymakers will drink, from which political parties of the future will refer to when they have to draft manifestos relevant for the building of this nation. So it's the first time ever, and I say that it is a beautiful moment for us. The South African dialogue train has taken off.
And what do you say to some voices that are dialogue tired, that are, summit tired, commission tired, people that have been saying that we've seen this narrative, we've seen something like this play itself out, and this won't yield any results?
Every time that South Africans dialogue as a nation, in an organized way, within a framework, it has always produced something good for this country. When we dialogued in CODESA, we produced the first democratic elections in the country and a new government. When we dialogued during the development of our constitution, we produced a constitution, a very beautiful constitution for our country. Now is the time, and I always say that way back 1956, South Africans dialogued and they came together in Kliptown. They produced the Freedom Charter. Now, ever since we really produced the Constitution, we had never dialogued in this fashion.
Reverend, unfortunately, I'm going to have to, cut you short. Of course, these are just the varying views coming from the National Convention. It will be kicking off at 8:30. And for now, let me just park it here.